Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's Kickstart. My name is Gardy. I have Dr. Aaron Chapa for some Chapa talk here in studio. Good morning, Dr. Chapa. How are you doing today?
Brother, I am doing phantasmo. I'm so excited to be here. So excited to be bringing in another month, man. We are like towards the almost the last quarter of the year. We're getting close, and but we still got a big game to play. There's a lot still going on in the world today. A lot of people struggling with this, that, and the other, whether it's stress, whether it's busy, whether it's, juggling the new schooling system for their kiddos, trying to figure out, when are they actually going to go back to school, or are they going to homeschool, or are they going to do online school? I mean, there's just so much that people are still juggling. So we are helping people at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center navigate the terrain, if you will, giving people solutions to health, wellness, making sure that when their body starts expressing signs and symptoms of stress overload, we can step in, fill in the gap, and help them take control of their health one bite at a time. We believe that whenever a person they can't control anything, because, right now the only thing certain about life is uncertainty. When you can't control anything, you have to take the bull by the horns on your own and say, what can I control? What can I take? What choices can I make that will directly impact me, my family, and my direction? And oftentimes that can be through diet and or drink or lifestyle practices.
One thing I noticed, and you mentioned kids going back to school. There's like the first day of online classes, online school, and then right now we're getting into people going back to school. It's like it's the first day of school again, on campus, and it's been interesting to see and to watch. And then we had the hurricane, and it did not hit us here, but I've seen a lot of people and organizations that are sending some love out to Louisiana and East Texas. And if you're able to do that, thank you, and continue to be the hands and feet of Jesus as we kind of look at our neighbors and take care of them. But, I am thankful that it didn't hit here. But we had to cancel some school, which I thought was funny. Like, hey, online school's canceled. Like, we can't do this. Yeah. We have to prep for the hurricane potential of stuff that's going to come. Online school is canceled. And I'm like, well, can't you still – and I didn't want to mess with it either. Can't you still do online school if you're not at school? Like, you're on the road, you're at home.
I mean, theoretically,
you can.
Theoretically, like, and I would imagine that. I mean, that's the kind of it's the oxymoron, right? Like this just really happened. We canceled online school. Wait a second, but yeah. So it is. But I think when people were traveling, and that's the thing, right? As people were getting out of town,
right.
People weren't available, and as much as we are online, you can't really be online on the antennas. You got to be like tapped into a Wi-Fi, which means you've got to be somewhere that has a clean Wi-Fi. And I mean, it's mind-boggling to me how amazing technology has linked us together. But yet, there's still a little break in the road, right from between 518 and 517, where I have zero cell reception on
yeah.
a major intersection
yes.
in a major area of the world. You know what I mean? And I have literally, it just goes blink, it just dead
it's gone.
spot. And the two companies recently merged together, so you'd think my antenna coverage would be even better.
Doubled.
But no. Now you're stressing me out I can't even get my cell phone to work.
Yeah. So today is September the 1st. This year has flown by. It's been an interesting year. I think one that we'll remember for a long time. Ups and downs. But you mentioned there's things that we can't control, but there are some things that we can. So this month is going to be a month of detoxing. It's going to be a month of let's finish strong, right? What's going on right now?
So here's the deal. At Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, I've been detoxing patients for years now. I mean, I've built my practice around the idea of digestive health, and that if you spend 80% of your blood, sweat, and tears, your efforts in taking care of your digestive tract, taking care of your liver, you will literally be well on your way to living a longevity life, activating longevity genes, activating vitality genes. And so detoxification must be a part of your 21st century healthcare plan. Must be. If it's not, you're missing a huge piece of healthcare for yourself, your family, and your generational line, because you're only as healthy as your oldest part. And you definitely don't want your liver, your bowels, your blood to be dirty. You don't want it to be more contaminated. Now, your body does and should be able to handle a lot of the toxins that we're exposed to on the regular. But in my opinion, there is a toxic burden, an overload, if you will, where the body is having a hard time keeping up with the demands that is being put upon it. And that's because of stress. That's because of lifestyle modifications where we're not giving the body ample time to regenerate itself or to heal itself. That's because we're eating continuously junk food, poor quality foods. The type of food, even that good stuff that we have access to, is demineralized. And so we just don't have a rich source of nutritional density coming into our bodies so that we can create longevity through activation of our longevity genes or our vitality genes. And, the plant paradox, which is Dr. Gundry, talks about, how important it is to activate these longevity genes. Just came out with another one called the longevity diet. And these longevity genes are things that we can activate through lifestyle.
What does that mean, longevity? Something passed down?
Longevity, something that is long, right? So,
Okay.
like, how long do you want to live? So, like, let's say that you can live to be 125 years of age. That's what science says. We can live to be 125 years old, fully functional in spirit, mind, and body. That's what they predict the body is capable of in its current state, And if that is possible, can you just put it in idle, your healthcare choices in idle, and expect to be 125? Or are you going to have to work at it to get to the 125? And I'm a believer that you're going to have to work at it. I don't think that God put us on this earth not to work at it. He put us on this earth to absolutely get after it and get it done. And he's going to provide the principles and the ways of living that will maximize the science of what our flesh can experience here on earth. And because we are in a degenerating earth suit, this thing is breaking down and falling apart every which way to Sunday. I mean, and especially if you're putting excessive amounts of sugar in your diet, water, sugary drinks, obvious sugar candies, pastries, processed food, junk foods. If you're putting these things into your diet, you're going to fuel your body inappropriately, stress your body's metabolism out, and create a toxic burden. Your body should be able to tolerate some of that, right? Except that when you're doing it day in, day out, multiple times a day, starting your day with sugar, ending your day with sugar, feeding, mid-afternoon sugar, these are things that are starting to really take precedence in ruining people's healthcare. Nancy Appleton's Lick the Sugar Habit, long old book. Mary Frost, Getting Back to the Basics of Health and Nutrition, long old book that has withstood the test of time. And we start seeing that we are in control just if we just talk about the concept of sugar as it being a toxin and a foreign substrate that's destroying and irritating health. I was just reading this, guy's magazine, and he actually says he's not a proponent of detoxification. He says that you shouldn't need to detox. And I'm like, well, I agree you shouldn't have to, but the reality is that's not true. Like, if you're not detoxing, you're missing an opportunity because you underestimate how much poison you're putting in your body day in and day out through the food, through the drink, and through the poor quality choices of the food that we have. We just don't have the density there.
So we shouldn't have to detox, but today
your body
we
is
have to.
detoxing
Okay.
always. It's always cleansing. There's a process in every cell of the body called the cytochrome P450 enzyme system. That's a big fancy word that means detoxification. Okay, so all that means is your body's either going to position a toxin, which is anything that your body cannot use. It's going to position it for excretion, and it's going to come out your bowels or your urine, hopefully. And if it can't, it's going to back up into your liver, and your liver's going to have to quarterback another alternative. It's going to have to find another route. Good thing we have a quarterback in the body, right? The liver has over 600 different pathways that it can access and leverage and metabolize and work with in order to help your system. One of the biggest misconceptions about your liver is that it's a filter. I used to even guilty say it's a filter. It's not a filter, because what do you do with your oil filter when you're done with it?
Toss it, throw it
You
away.
toss
New
that
one.
thing out. Well,
Yeah.
your liver isn't collecting gunk and garbage, or at least it shouldn't be. Now, if you've been diagnosed with a fatty liver disease, you are developing fatty cyst pockets around your liver because your liver is so burdened with the toxicity that it's just like having corrosion on your car battery, or the wax job is so bad on your car you have no more clear coat, and now you've got a beat up paint job, or your house is the paint is starting to peel back. Those are indicators of wear and tear. That's not what a healthy liver should look like. I have a picture on my phone of what a healthy liver looks like, and I show patients a healthy liver versus an unhealthy liver. And you can see this scarring. You can see this lack of vitality in the tissue, and how almost scary it is. And one of them is a liver that has been contaminated with toxins, and that could be from nicotine if you're a smoker or a dipper. That could be from chlorine if you are a constant swimmer. I've had hormone cases come in that their bodies were so toxic from chlorine that their hormones were messed up.
Really?
That the liver was having a hard time dealing with it. So the liver, again, is not storing this stuff like a filter, and we got to chunk it. The liver is a chemical factory. It is a refinery. And us here in Texas, we're very familiar with refineries. We thrive on refineries. And basically, we watch these refineries in operation, and there's all these pipes and electricity and all this plumbing that come together in order to create a product from a substance. So we take a substance, put it in the system, and it pumps out something else. Your liver does the same thing. So what is your liver doing? Your liver is giving you energy. Your liver is giving you an ability to mobilize nutrients to certain destinations, to digest certain types of food so that you can better absorb it through your intestinal tract. Your liver is then starting to observe and say, how much of this do we have, and where are we going to store this? And what we're doing is we're using the liver for the wrong effect. Instead of letting the liver organize an offense, we're leveraging the liver strictly for defense and filtration and dealing with the load of toxicity that we are bringing in from our environment, from the air, from the water, from the poor food. And then we stress that system via lack of rest and sleep, and then we stress that system more with burning the candle at 17 different angles and wondering why we're so spread thin and feeling like our bodies are falling apart. So how do you know you're toxic and that the liver's under distress? The answer?
I'm going to say check engine lights.
Yes, that's a great answer. I love it. So check engine light. So what is a check engine light in the body? Could be headaches, if we start at the top. What if it's just blurry vision? Like, what if the fact that most of us have glasses, and no offense to my glass-wearing friends.
Yeah.
And, what if the issue of glasses is a toxicity issue?
So is this making it, you think it is making it worse, or are you just saying like it would impede your vision to where you have to wear glasses?
Correct. It's changing your ability to see clearly, toxicity. So if you have, for example, just in your vision, as a check engine light, as you say, is black spots would be a liver toxicity issue, gray spots, liver toxicity issue, purple spots, dark spots are a liver congestion issue. The liver isn't filtering well. The toxins are backing up into your lymph, backing up into your blood, and you're starting to see the toxicity, literally see it. And if you have white spots, that could be an indication that you've got infection rummaging around in your skull and head, and you're seeing in biofilms, infectious biofilms, which is basically like a little calcium magnesium igloo that holds infection in place until the body feels like it can deal with the issue. And if you see clear spots, that's an indication that your body's dealing with non-infectious allergies. Non-infectious allergies being like danders and of cats or dogs or birds or dust particles in the air, whatever we're dealing with in our environment. The weeds, the trees, the shrubs, the stuff that gives people itchy, watery eyes. Typically, those things show up as clear, translucent bubbles in your vision. Those are check engine lights of toxicity. And again, a reason for detoxification needing to be implemented quickly into your regime. And so we recommend at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center that you take time to invest in your digestive tract, you invest in your liver's quarterbacking system 42 days out of the year. And we are in the next phase of 42. So we did our 21 days in January, and we're doing 21 days in September, starting on the 14th, I believe. Molly can critique that and put that little slide up in our chat box for those that are on our feed. And make sure that you like, share this information, because here's the reality. I can tell you that people that detox are healthier than people that don't. And I've seen patients that have felt fatigue in their body, which, by the way, is another indicator potentially of toxicity. Because if you think about it, if you have no margins in your life, how productive can you be? If your body has no margins, how productive can it be?
Does that mean it's just like it's running full? Like
it's running full.
No room for air, nothing.
It has no room for anything extra, no more bandwidth. We're tapped out. The Wi-Fi is not in effect. And so the body has got so many internal things that it's got to deal with. It's struggling to juggle all that it has on its plate. And so now the plates are falling and symptoms are starting to crop up. If you've got belly pain, constant belly pain, reflux, indigestion, bloating, gas, you might find that you have 10 to 15 meals caked up inside of you. We all just recently heard the sad story of our favorite, Marvel guy. I can't remember what's his name.
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
Black Panther.
Yeah, Black Panther passed away.
Yeah,
and it was I believe of colon cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? That dude looked healthy. At least Black Panther looked healthy. It's amazing what cameras will do. But the reality is the average American has 10 to 15 meals of stuff caked up inside of them. And that stuff that's caked up inside of them literally begins to rot and putrefy. And if you've got rotting, putrefying trash inside your body, it's going to start showing up in your mental fatigue, your physical, productivity, and your overall ability to be the best version of you can. That's why people they relish in the glory days. I remember when I could do that. I remember when I was doing that. Instead of gripping, forward and saying, what am I going to have to change today in order to maximize my tomorrow? Because when you're 18 and all the responsibility you have is to, go to the gym and play the football team or basketball team or, be in some sort of sports program.
Yeah, no bills.
Yeah, you don't have no worries at all. Like, it's easy to be healthy. So it's not so much that it's easy to be healthy. It's just they have more time. They don't have nothing to do, right? But then whenever you become an adult and you start having to, manage responsibilities, and then you go off and decide to conjoin with another marriage and
kids,
and then kids come along, and then you want to build their little life up, and then all of a sudden you start putting yourself on the back burner. Every parent is familiar with the model of not putting their oxygen mask on first, serving their family to the point where their health declines. But you have to make the choice. It's your life, your health, your choice. Success, guys, is a choice. And in your health care, it is a choice too. In your finances, it's a choice. In your spirit life, it's a choice. And I think that, God wants us to walk his path, because his path, although is the narrow road, and he never promises easy, but his practices are true. And you will be able to navigate the terrain, the falsities of the world around us. You'll recognize fake food and realize in your spirit that, what, if I keep eating make-believe food, the best I can ever have is
make-believe health. Hey, Molly commented on here. I have to say good morning to Molly. Thank you for being such a big help. She said a couple things. The detox is starting September 14th. Then she also said, and you have to verify this for me, today is the last day to get 20% off of your complete detox kit. Today's the last day. You can save 20%. Is that accurate? Is that correct?
That's correct. So today is the last of the sale, and so you can definitely save on our detox. We're practically giving this thing away. Why? Because we believe in the idea of detoxification so much. We want you to have no reason to say no.
Yeah, I think I've done 3 or 4 detoxes, and y'all have never done anything like this.
That's right.
And so I'm kind of wondering why. No,
and the fun is this, is we have just come to realize that if at very least, like we're trying to find that, what is the minimum thing that you can do right now to change? In every season of life people are in, people start to appreciate and realize, you know what, I can benefit from taking the bull by the horns. I can benefit by choosing a different path. And what the detox is designed to do at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, our ultimate detox experience, is an opportunity to give your body a 21-day vacation from stress and stimulants.
that sounds good. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds really good.
It is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, because the body, we're bombarded with stress and stimulants, rocket fuel, so to speak. We can't live on rocket fuel and expect the body to perform well. So a vacation from stress and stimulants allows your body an opportunity to rest and digest, heal, repair, and get rid of all that old paperwork that's been piled up over the last 8 months.
So here's another question. And if you have a question about the detox, feel free to ask. You can also text Detox20 to 474747. It'll send you a text back, and somebody will be in contact, be able to answer all of your questions. So here's a question that was brought up, and they wanted to know if you could have almond butter on the detox. And then there's a whole conversation saying, well, seeds are okay, nuts are not. What's the word on that? What's going on?
Yeah, so nuts are harder to digest than seeds are. And so we take the nuts out during the 21 days, but we do allow seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, and pumpkin seeds, watermelon sprouts. These are different types of proteins that you can still access via your shake as for extra protein. So there is protein available on the detox, but we just take the nuts out because nuts traditionally are harder to digest. Most people only know peanuts and cashews and pistachios. They forget the almonds, walnuts, and pecans. But if you think about, I always just kind of go back to like on the nut conversation. If it wasn't for commercialized industry, we wouldn't be eating pounds of nuts like people do. I have patients that will eat tons and tons and tons and tons of trail mixes that are all roasted nuts. Well, one, the fastest way to kill a monkey is to feed them roasted nuts. So we try to find like more, less roasted things because it denatures that protein. Cashews and peanuts and pistachios are the most moldy of the nut families, and so people are getting exposed to endotoxins and mycotoxins from these types of mold-laden foods. And then when you look at almonds, walnuts, pecans, and people just eat too much of it. Like, I mean, it's hard to digest, and you'll be able to tell. Like, the cleaner your diet gets, you'll start putting food in, and you can easily decipher that this is causing my body's bowels to slow down, or I don't feel as good after I ate that. And then you can go say, well, was it because of the volume that I ate? Mm-hmm. And so on the detox, we're trying to find ways to maximize that vacation of stress and stimulants and still give you some variety as, we discover new ways to do it.
So even in butter form, like almond butter, would not be allowed. Some butter is okay. Is it still harder to digest even if it's in a broken up form like that?
Yeah, and primarily because most of the butters are, again, roasted. Of course, it's going to be easier to digest than you chewing and crunching up the nut, mm-hmm. but because the machine did most of the digesting. But again, for the sake of, we're trying to create movement in the bowels, and so we're not just living on seeds. If you look at what the detox is primarily focused on, it's on vegetables. And so we get people to eat primarily a plant-based diet, literally plant-based, not a bean diet, not a high starchy vegetable diet like potatoes all the time. I'm talking like the green stuff, the stuff that people aren't necessarily reaching for.
Yeah, the stuff you don't really want at first glance.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, I mean, again, we joke about it, but nobody ever advertises for asparagus. They don't, and asparagus tastes so good. Like, I love raw asparagus. And it was 3 detoxes ago that I realized how much I love raw asparagus.
I
was
like asparagus too.
Raw?
Well, no, wrapped in bacon next to a steak usually.
Absolutely. Who does? Sign me up. And you can have that, by the way. You could literally take your asparagus, put a little garlic powder, onion powder, throw it, a little bit of bacon over the top of it, and let those juices drizzle down into it, and then just don't eat the bacon on the detox.
Mm-hmm.
So you could still like even satisfy that like smell and savory flavor, and maximize the value of the healthy fat. If you wanted to throw that in, and fats, guys, are really satisfying. So could I make a case to allow nuts on there? Sure, I guess I could. But the thing is if we don't teach you to start reaching to new foods, then you'll only lean on the old foods. See, people never do what they want to do. They do what they know how to do. And so it's easier to chew up a trail mix of nuts than it is to like take a handful of asparagus and and chomp it down, or make sure that you have celery and cucumber and carrots or lettuce leaves or spinach or something hand available in your ice cooler while you're cruising down the road, and you're reaching in there and you're eating like a rabbit for 21 days. And that's kind of a joke, but the reality is your body's going to use all that nice healthy fiber to help drive cleansing into your bowel, and your liver will not dump into an already toxic bowel. So there's a couple things at play here. We're trying to mobilize trash through your bowels. Fiber does that. So nuts tend to have a little bit more of a slowing effect on your bowels, and veggies tend to have more of a speeding up effect on the bowels. And we want to roto-root, we want to cleanse, we want to push trash, waste, and debris through your bowels so that your liver can freely dump toxicity that's been built up in the tissues, which, again, a toxin is just anything your body cannot use to be excreted out of the body. Because if it's not excreted out of the body, where's it going to go? It's going to be stored in your brain. Then you're not going to be able to remember why you came into the room, or what numbers that you're looking for, or what's the name of that person, and then your Rolodex. It's on your phone. You're like, I can see their face, but I can't remember their name. That's mental cloudiness, and that foggy thinking, that stinking thinking, is a toxicity problem of storage in the wrong sector of the brain. And then you look at your body's fat, deposits. Your body starts developing fat cells, and they can swell up 7 times the size of normal.
Is that what bloating?
7 times the size of normal. That would be bloating. That would be that waterlogged feeling. That'd be that feeling of just heavy, where you just like, oh man, I got to unbutton my britches. And these are signs and symptoms that things aren't performing well in the tissues of your fat cells. And then your body stores this stuff in the joints. And so now your joints hurt. You have arthritis, or what I like to call arthrongus, because there's nothing right about it.
Yes.
We got to get that out of there. And people always report when they do detoxes how clear their thinking is, how clear their vision is, how much energy they have, how they feel like their body it doesn't ache like it used to. It released those toxins. And so we go through the process of taking people down this path, and we see that detoxification is a 21-day reboot. It is a reset. It is a 3-month effect in 3 weeks. And so it can literally change the dynamic of the rest of your year. It will make you more productive in going into the last quarter of the year. It'll get you set up for the holidays, because what I find is when we do a detox, it's like throwing a cinder block into a pond. The ripple effect is huge, and it will ripple into the next month, 2 months, 3 months of your life. Now, you might be first time, second time detox, and maybe it's more like a brick, and it's not a cinder block. Or maybe you're a veteran, and like myself, I pretty much live detox life. Like I eat Brussels and asparagus and lettuce and spinach and super greens and kale every day. Raw, cooked, steamed, every day.
So 2020, you stayed on the horse.
I've stayed on the horse. I instead of gaining the COVID-15, I lost 20 pounds, and I've leaned up and I feel great mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I'm pushing myself to grow. Like, I realized that, God gave me a choice, and I had to make it. And I had to say, all right, am I going to be an example in the stressful life that we all got thrown into. Not one of us, signed up for this, but yet here we are. And so some of us took the bull by the horns, and some of us have. I was at the gym the other day, and this couple I was talking to were like, "Yeah, I just too much wine and too much rum." I'm like, and I just think of Pirates of the Caribbean when he goes, "Why is rum gone?"
Yeah.
And when people are stressed, they reach to de-stressing things, comfort foods or comfort drinks. And as much as that sounds fun, the reality is that's not what nothing below your taste buds want that. Nothing below. Hear me, guys. Nothing below your taste buds want the sugar, the poison, the toxicity. So why are you putting it in there? Because I truly think that the devil's number one scheme of attack is to get you tricked through gluttony. If he can seduce you through your taste buds, that's why the Bible says life and death's in the power of
the tongue.
The tongue, correct. So what you speak is one thing, but what you eat is another thing. And the tongue is deceptive. And if you can't say no to sugar, that is a reason to do a detox, because when we do a detox, we're going to take you off sugar. We're going to give you solutions like gymnema and chromium and different B vitamins in order to metabolize the sugars better, so that you feel more stable from a sugar perspective, and we'll train your body to not need the sugar. One of the simplest ways to break your sugar addict addiction, because that's exactly what it is. It stimulates the dopamine pathway, which means the dopamine pathway wants to be exercised again 20 minutes later. It's not a long-lasting neurotransmitter, neurohormone. It is I'm instant gratification, and I want to be instantly gratified over and over and over and over again. So when you see labels that market to you that says, "I bet you can't eat just one," that is a saying that says, I'm going to stimulate your dopamine so well that you aren't going to be able to say no to it for very long. I will entice you and entice you. And variety is the gateway to gluttony. And if gluttony sets in, you will literally have a serpent in your belly that is what we call the gut bugs. And these gut bugs will direct everything that you crave. They will direct the quality and output of your productivity. And it's just, do you want to be controlled by the bugs? No. The Bible says that the human, is to subdue the creepy, crawly thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And so that goes all the way down to the parasites, the bacteria, the yeast in your belly, on your skin. So if you have rashes on your skin, that's your body pumping toxin out of the skin because it can't go out the appropriate exit channels. So you could have multiple check engine lights of toxicity, and the cause be the same thing: congestion. Your plumbing is backed up. Your liver can't dump into an already toxic bowel. Your kidneys are getting stressed out, so now my blood pressure's going up. My ankles are swelling. Nature's solution to pollution's dilution. What does that mean? That means the more toxicity you have, the more your body has to hold on to retain fluid, so you feel bloated and everything hurts and you feel like just not yourself. You feel waterlogged or whatever because it's diluting that toxicity over more volume of fluid. And so we're going to be talking about this all month long, about how amazing it is to take the bull by the horns and to detox your tissues, your cells, even the organs and the glands.
Here's a really good question from Lori. So what is the best way to stop cravings? Stop the cravings for sugar.
Oh, I meant to answer that. Sorry about that, Lori. Thank you for bringing me back to focus here.
That's what she says. She's like, what were you going to say?
I get so excited and about talking about this stuff. I really do. But the simplest, easiest thing is to stop drinking sweetened beverages. When you put the sweetened beverage in your mouth, it stimulates that pathway. So stop eating or drinking the sweetened beverage.
So that's like the start?
That's the start.
Okay.
Get the liquid sugar out of your diet. Number one, first and foremost. So what do you replace that with? So you can still. So we have we have this product at the office called Ultima Refresher, and it's low-hand fruit and stevia, And that is one of that it is still sweet, but stevia doesn't have any glycemic effect. It doesn't, push your blood sugar up or down. It's a 2,000-year-old Peruvian herb. Some people go, "Oh, I hate stevia." Well, that's just because you haven't acclimated a taste for it. It takes about 17 exposures to the palate for you to appreciate stevia. You can definitely, less scoop, more water to kind of, to build that up. But even simpler still, what if you just took a herbal fruit-based, sugar-free, caffeine-free tea bag and you put it in 40 ounces of water? Well, don't you have to warm it up? I don't want to drink hot water on a hot August, Texas, Houston day like yesterday, where it was 100 degrees in my office at 12:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that you can do is the infusion of water or tea into water will change the flavor of the water. So sometimes just start throwing different types of flavored tea bags into your drink that will change the water taste. And now you're putting in more water fluid into your tissues. And that whole nature solution to pollution's dilution business will literally will wash out the toxicity, and then your need for extra volume of fluid to dilute over goes down. You don't have that retention anymore.
I have some Ultima at my house, and I drank some yesterday. And when you were mentioning stevia, you've been there with me. Naked Nutrition over there at Mainland City Center, which is formerly Mall of the Mainland.
Yep.
They have these delicious smoothies. It's just straight up vegetables and fruit, and then they'll ask you to add stevia, and it is so good. It is so good. I don't know, because I guess the only places I've ever had stevia is from Naked Nutrition, and then in the Ultima.
Right. And so one of the things that we wanting to get you to realize, though, and this is one of the things that the value of the detox trains into the person, is when you have a robust palate. So we all have a sweet tooth or sweet taste receptors on our tongue. We're very familiar with that. It's what drives our economy, sugar. Secondarily, we have salt, and people love salty things. And people don't even realize it, but most of your potato chips are only salted on one side.
Really?
Like if you go and you take a potato chip and you lick one side, it'll be salty. If you lick the other side, it's bland as all get out. And you go, ooh, why do I like that? Well, because one side is laden with MSG, monosodium glutamate, which is a very strong neurotoxin that destroys neuroreceptors in your brain, that also tricks your brain into thinking that this is good for you, but it really burns out your lights. I mean, it's a bad deal. But the salt receptors on our taste buds are a part of your robust palate. And then you have sour receptors on your palate that nobody, we don't. It's more fun to watch people give you give a baby something like a lemon sour and watch their cheeks turn inside out. And it's always fun to see. And then my favorite palate to stimulate is the bitter palate. The bitter palate is the healing palate, and no one knows about it. It's like a secret. And I'm like, no, it's not a secret. It's there. Oh, well, but I've experienced the bitter palate. They call it bitter face. Where it's
yuck. It's gross.
Yuck.
Yeah, bitter. Nobody wants bitter stuff.
But what bitters do, when you stimulate the bitter palate in your taste buds, and that's through, some of our liquid herbal products. That's through different types. So we use ginseng, for example, for one of our bitter herbs that stimulates digestion. So, if you're at a restaurant, for example, you could get sparkling water and bitters, and you can mix that together, and the ginseng and the bitters will start priming your stomach acids to digest better when the food arrives. And so people go, oh, I don't know how I could go out and, my social circle is just everybody has alcohol and drink, and I feel awkward, and I get peer pressured into having one and then two and then three. Well, what if you did this? You had this. I use this trick with people all the time. I get bitters and sparkling water, and they stick it in a wine glass, and it looks just like what everybody else is having, and nobody's the wiser, And the reality is I'm giving my body a benefit to what I'm about to eat, and instead of sabotaging my blood sugar and stressing my liver, and then disrupting my thinking pattern and overeating and then overindulging and then the gluttony piece coming through variety, getting, and now I'm going into sweet land, and now I'm gonna chase a 5-course meal that I didn't need, and now I've got this big old brick that I got to digest for the next 72 hours, and that stresses out my chemistry, and it makes my body internalize the energy instead of it be productive with thinking power. And this is one of the things that we have to go back to and look at is the body. All life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is the fundamental backbone. If you drop in too much of a food source, too much volume, your body wears out or it stresses out by internalizing. Or if you eat the wrong foods, you put inflammatory foods in, which when you do our 21-day ultimate detox experience, what you experience is an elimination of the top 4 most common inflammatory foods. You wind up actually taking out the top 6, because when you look at wheat, dairy, corn, and soy as the top 4, then peanuts number 5 and chocolate number 6, you're taking out a lot of the foods that people overindulge in, number 1, and number 2 are having intolerant effect to, number 2. And then when you take that stuff out, your body is able to start repairing itself, healing itself, regenerating itself, and it's crazy how fast it starts turning.
Here's another question, Dr. Chapa. This is from Miss Tina Woods. Good morning, and thank you for asking. This is a great question. She said, what are your thoughts on kombucha as an alternative drink?
So I personally still think there's too much sugar in it, and I know people aren't adding supposed sugar to it, but through the fermentation process, it seems that we're overindulging in that as well. And that overindulgence then is creating a feeding of the gut bugs in a negative way, even though it can be beneficial. There's no question. Fermented foods are an absolute delight, and it can be very healing and restoring and cleansing. And so I don't want to negate that. But I think that at some respects we're I don't know that all kombucha is necessarily created equal, and I do think that a lot of it seems to be just, it's not serving the gut lining in a way that is as much as we like it to. It's just like people saying yogurt is good for the gut ecology, your gut bugs, and that's not true at all. Like, yeah, it has probiotics in it, but the damage from the adulterated protein casein in there is more inflammatory than the benefit of those microbiome feeding.
Dr. Chapa, what can people expect to experience during the detox? Are they going to have cravings? Is their temper going to change? Are they going to be able to sleep better or worse?
So again, anger, emotions, short fuse, these are all, again, check engine lights that the liver is under distress. So the more, if you're already there, and then we take your food, down a notch, like we take some of these inflammatory foods away, your comfort foods, your sugary foods.
I can see it getting worse, though,
yeah.
potentially, yeah.
Yeah, because until your body stabilizes, yeah, you initially might get hangry.
Yeah.
And I've done this 40 times, so like I've been hungry before, I've gone without food before. I get all that. And this is the thing that I observe is that the body wants to heal itself. And so your body initially that first week internalizes, and it starts to work on stuff. It starts cleansing stuff. It starts getting rid of waste, trash, and debris. And one of the things that that we can and do see sometimes is people having some effects. Some of the challenges that people might feel the first day or two as a little bit of belly discomfort. It shouldn't be to a point of nausea. It shouldn't be anything really severe. I can't say that's never happened, but at the end of the day, it's rare, right? That's why we're comfortable talking about this to the masses, because out of 100 people, 1 maybe 2 people will have a real negative, violent response. But that just means that their body's toxic. It's not that the program was bad. It's that we just needed to downgrade the program, shift it into first gear instead of fourth. And that's okay too, because if you recognize that the possibility is not bad, shame on program, but man, my body is really jacked up and I can't even tolerate these nutrients. I assure you, and as much as you don't want to hear it, it's your body's malfunctioning, not our program. Our program is asking your body to do exactly what it needs to be doing, but your body is saying no. and that's because it's so toxic. And so that in that case, we just got to slow the process down, or we add something called drainage remedies. Some people get headaches a little bit initially the first day or two. Some people have a little bit of low energy the first day or two. Those are all things that are okay. Your body will bounce out. We've got nutrients. We can throw in some extra B vitamins. We can put in some extra drainage remedies to open up your lymphatic channels. We can get you to start doing dry brushing. You can come in and do foot baths at our office. We can use different types of additional flushes that we can offer to help get the body to push these toxins out of the tissues and get it out of your body, so that your body's now freed up of these burdens that you've been carrying. So if you have signs and symptoms during that first week, don't panic. Get excited, because that means something is changing. And I always make this case: if I can get your body to change with just a little bit of dietary changes and some supplemental intervention, that's phenomenal. I mean, that's a sign that your neurological system's still intact, that your biochemistry is still responsive to real food, that you haven't been completely, made up with make-believe food. And so that's a good sign that your body is responding to real nutrition. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't need to course correct and slow the process down, but man, don't fret. I'm talking 2-3 days of crazy like that might happen, very rare, but then you get the next 18, 19 days of your body really performing and firing on all its cylinders. And some people go, well, I've done 5 detoxes and I really didn't notice some of those things. That's okay too. Your 6th one, 7th one, 8th one might be the trick. And you just don't realize that your body chemistry was weaker because your mom and dad had really poor quality livers, or their kidneys were not so good when they passed down that gene code to you. And so think about it. If your capacity is only coming into the world at 60% of what God designed it to, well, you're behind the 8 ball. And that's unfortunate, but it's the way it works. That's genes. That's your genetic code. And there is a truth to genes. That's called Francis Pottinger's cat study. He did this cat study where he would break down raw food diets versus processed food diets in animals, and he saw that within 3 generations, cats fed processed junk food, poisonous food, make-believe food, started having smaller cat litters. They were having more birth defects, more stillbirths, and straight up infertile, like where there was inability to produce. Well, if you kind of, blow that scale up, in the late 70s and into the early 1980s, we changed our food plan pyramid, and we took fat out of the diet. We demonized fat. We scared the tar out of people and said, fat is going to kill you. Fat is going to cause you to stroke. Fat is going to cause you to have a heart attack. And so everybody goes, fear, fear, fear. We love operating around fear. I mean, look at where we're at today. I mean, nothing's changed, just different model. And so we demonize fat, and then you start having these crazy doctors like Dr. Adkins and Dr. McCullough and all these. Then you start talking about fat is okay. And you got all these different folks started to teach this model. They're getting, ostracized because they're teaching a different model. And what wound up happening is inside of 3 generations, and we're in it, I've got younger and younger patient base. So originally my patient base age seemed to be 35 to 55, and now I'm seeing 18 to 25 patients, a whole slew of them coming in with hormonal problems. The ones in their mid-20s to mid-30s are infertile. They can't get pregnant. Their period cycle times are 48, 50 days. They have 2 or 3 spotty cycles inside of a cycle. I mean, there's all this irregularity. There's pain, and people go, oh, well, that's just normal. That's what happened when Eve ate the apple.
The new normal.
It might be normal, but it is, and it might be common. I'm sorry, it might be common, but it is sure as heck not normal. It's not normal to have cramps, pain, and suffering in your cycles. And so, we see a fertility problem in our culture today in the female and the male. We see estrogen dominance in the male. We see the pot belly, the man boobs. We see the body, developing inappropriately as it ages because of stress, processed food, and lack of rest. And we see people going down the wrong path. And everything we're doing at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is to pull you back in and say, listen, we've got ideas to help move you forward. It could be as simple as start your day with your protein and fat. It could be, drink more water. It could be like I had a guy yesterday, we're using intermittent fasting to reset his blood sugar. And so we find a tool that we can start working with you on, and then we start evolving you forward. We have loads of ideas. We're constantly in the trenches. We're constantly working out ways to help your body heal and recover and get things, underway in a really powerful way. And so the Detox is a 21-day vacation from stress and stimulants, and it's a simple way to launch into the last quarter of the year and get your 42 days of detoxification in place. I'm telling you, every tissue, cell, organ, gland in your body is going to say thank you after you've gone through a detox. You will literally come back and you'll say, "Can I just live like this? Do you mind if I just want to I don't want anything to change." And that's because your brain is firing on all 8 cylinders again. And
can you consistently like take the the fiber and everything else, those supplements and the shakes and everything?
So no question. So like I've taken SP Cleanse, for example, one of the key ingredients, at high dose for well over 6 months. And because I look at myself like a classic liver case. Like I have to keep my liver healthy, and I believe that some of that is been passed down to me. Some of that was in my youth. I beat up my body, and there's a price to pay for stuff like that, And so, one of the questions here was, why does a person get a headache during the first part of the detox? So thanks, B Light, and so the headaches are a change in the suboccipital blood flow. That suboccipital space in the base of your skull, there's a lot of information that travels through there neurologically and blood flow wise. And so when we take people off of stress and stimulants, we are definitely changing. Your body sees like a light at the end of the tunnel, and it starts releasing toxins. So now you got toxins that are floating around that have to be reprocessed like they were just exposed, because the body, when it puts it away in the brain, it will release it back into circulation, and it's as if it just got reintroduced that day. And so if it's in your joints and it's released out, your body has to process it as a fresh and anew. If it's from a fat cell, the same game. So your body is constantly finding ways to, mobilize these toxins back out. And so you have basically a toxicity issue in the blood temporarily in that first week as you're taking other stressors out of your diet. Your body sees light at the end of the tunnel, and it wastes no time. It immediately starts the cleansing process. It immediately starts the detox process, which is why we oftentimes say if these types of symptoms happen to you, get a headache in the temples, headache in the top of the skull, you get the band of pressure around the head, you got to come to a foot bath. It's just fast and easy. Come get some Antranex, a beef liver fat that helps drain off the trash. Come get on some Spanish radish. Come get on one of our lymphatic drainage products. Do some rebounding. Do some, Epsom salt baths. I mean, there's just so many cool things that you can do to maximize detoxification. Make sure you're using the dandelion tea that we have at the office. It helps to mobilize the bowels. That way nothing gets stuck. Because if you think of your bowels as a big tube from mouth to hind end, and it's already caked up with 10 to 15 meals, and then all of a sudden I put you into a detox state and I add more fiber, I could potentially slow your bowels down. So now I'm asking your liver to detox as well, which I told you earlier, that's an impossibility. Your liver doesn't want to dump into an already toxic bowel, but here I am assisting it to do so. Well, so we've got to make sure that that lower bowel is moving effectively 2-3 times a day. Not diarrhea, not liquid out your hiney. We don't want that. You work too hard to put those calories in. We want to make sure that things are moving through at a nice pace. But understand that if you've got 10 to 15 meals caked up inside of you, rotting, putrefying inside of you, it is possible that during the first 3, 4, 5 days, you could have loose bowel. And don't be upset about that. Be like, wow, get it out. Get it out. If your body's willing to let it go, man, I promise you, when the serpent is destroyed in your belly and you don't have that excess funk and filth built up inside your tissues, you're going to immediately transition through the phases of what we call symptom, toxicity land very quickly. The headaches will be faint, they'll dissipate. But I mean, again, these are just indicators that you are indeed toxic, is when you have some of those negative detox effects.
So Dr. Chapa, today is it's a very important and special day as far as the detox goes. It's the last day. Let everybody know what is today. What's the last day?
So, at number one, text Detox20 to 474747 to learn more about our detox. Share, our video, share this message out. We would love to get as many people to enroll in the process of living a detox life and making sure that their body is maximized in efficiency and productivity and metabolically every which way to Sunday. And detoxification is an easy way to enroll yourself in that process. And so today is the last day of our 20% off detox special. You get a discount if you buy the complete kit. Call the office, 281-554-8600 for more details, and we will give you the details on what that looks like. The detox launch date is the 14th of this month, and we're excited to take another batch of people through the process. Veterans, people have done it with us before. We're excited that you're going to be with us again. Those that have never done it, we're excited that you're going to take a step of faith and push yourself beyond your thought process, your concerns, your fears, whatever it is. We want to coach you and help you through that process. And if there is more extenuating circumstances with respect to your health, like you have a major crisis like cancer, or you've got major health issues and you're on a lot of medications, make sure that you make an appointment at our office. We want to help you too go through the process. We just need to make sure that we guide you from a different perspective, because sometimes there's things that we need to slow down and know where you're at in your healthcare journey, so that we can know how hard we can assist you, or how light we need to gently move you forward. But remember, start today. We talk about this all the time. When's the best time to plant an oak tree?
30 years ago. Time ago.
A long time ago. And the next best time?
Today.
So let today be the day. Because if you know that you're not well, if you know that you're not where you need to be, if you know that you should have more energy than you have, and you feel like your body is falling apart, I just want to encourage all of you guys to let today be the day that you give Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center a call. We want to be your number one health resource for all your health and wellness needs every day, every part of your life. I believe that these principles will carry you into what we call longevity land. And we can maximize how long we can live, and we can maximize the vitality of the life that God has given us to live. And so we are excited that you guys are tuned in, and we want you to share. We're going to be talking about detox all month. It's one of my favorite topics. And if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, shoot us a message here on our Facebook, or shoot us a message at our email, info@justlivewell.com. And we have more information of our detox at www.justlivewell.com.
So today is the last day, 20% off of the full detox kit. You can text Detox20 to 474747. Then on the 10th is going to be the first detox class on Zoom. And then on the 14th, the detox starts. On the 29th is going to be another class. There's also a Facebook support group. That's one thing that I've enjoyed about the detoxes, is that you are not alone.
That's right.
It feels like in a good way, like a class project. Like everybody's kind of doing the work together, and it kind of, I don't know. I guess it depends on the relationship you had with school. I wasn't like that big a fan of school, but there were things in school that were really fun, where like you felt like you were on a team. It's teamwork. Hey, they're going through the exact same thing that I am, right now. And just like, hey, how is it affecting you? It's affecting me this way. So there's the Zoom classes. Usually they would be in person.
Correct.
Right now, Zoom allows us to reach more people than just to get into a physical building. But then there's also the group where people are sharing recipes, people are giving encouragement, asking questions. I don't understand this. And there are multiple people that are qualified to answer and help you through that journey.
That's right. We'll have our whole team will be supporting that venue. And it is a lot of fun to see people posting recipes and getting fired up and excited and going through the process. And I want to say thank you to my office, my staff, my whole team. God has been so good to give us just people that truly are in love with the vision of living well, which is to get sick people well without drugs and surgery. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you to my office and the people that help us move this vision forward, because I couldn't do it alone. And any great, movement has leaders, but then inside the leaders, there's other leaders that are helping to push the mission forward. And I always want to stay true to what God has put in my heart, and I love the truth in that God has given us so many tools and resources, and it talks about in the Proverbs being able to draw deep the understanding of those resources and how to apply them into our lives today. And this is an area where Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is a resource, and we have an applicable resource tool to help move people from point A to point B on their health journey. And I believe that it affects people at a cellular level. It affects people at a biochemical level. It affects people at a structural level. It affects people at an emotional level. It affects people, Gardy, at a spiritual level. Whenever you feel good, you're way more productive. You're way more open to hear, what the Holy Spirit has to give you that day. And I've just seen it. Like, when you are headachy and your body hurts and you just don't feel good, you're tired and you're all gummed up, your ability to be everything that God's called you to be is definitely limited.
And who you're supposed to be to your family, your kids, your loved one, your boyfriend, girlfriend, to
everybody.
It just affects everything.
It really does. And I'm always cautious, so I'll finish with this, is that we never are putting herbs or supplements or diet or all these tools that we teach above the power of the Spirit. The Spirit doesn't need us. We're participating in the sovereign grand plan of Christ Jesus the Lord, but we do have a part to play in participating in His vision. And so, I feel like my vision is to fall in line with, chasing after a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ and sharing that light with as many other people. I've found for myself, and I find for many, that the healthier they feel in their body, the more spiritually aware they are to receive. And then that just naturally trickles down into the way they treat their loved one, the way they treat their kiddos, or the way they treat their extended family, and their patience and tolerance, their ability to just appreciate, the life that they've been given from a different perspective. So I'm excited because every day is a new day, and no matter where you're at in the health journey, no matter how many diagnoses you've got, no matter how many medications you've been on, no matter how bad you remember your health to be, and how bad the symptoms hurt, please understand that in time, if you give it enough time, and you stick it out, you will get results. If you follow through with the recommendations to the best of your ability, you will get results, I assure you. And so I love what we do at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. I'm so glad, we have just everybody that's in unity and support of what we're doing. So I just pray that you guys be blessed this week, and we will see you guys next week.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's just after 10 o'clock. Coming up next on KHEA